Topping your news at 4, we are staying on top of breaking news right now. A carjacking suspect just arrested in the last 15 minutes after running from police earlier this afternoon. It all started around 1:45.
What station are we on?
In
3?
Avondale, police found a sedan that they had been looking for. It's a blue Audi that they've been looking for several weeks. They found it in Avondale, and when police tried to stop that vehicle, that's when the driver took off speeding. And so at that point, law enforcement called in their Firebird helicopter, and when they got dispatched to follow behind that vehicle, we also sent Bruce Hafner up in our Penguin Air and Plumbing news chopper, and he's live with us right now. Bruce, you're live with us right now over the scene of where this all ended back in Avondale.
Yeah, well, no, actually, right now we're up over. Let's set up this camera. We're up over with the scene where it ended up in Phoenix, North Phoenix. This is like Hatcher, near Hatcher on Mountain View, and about just to the near 19th Avenue. 19th Avenue, and this is the truck that he hijacked. That woman out there at 107th Avenue, south of the Interstate 10, and man, that was quite a sight seeing her run from that truck. I mean, thank goodness she wasn't hurt.
Can you pull out a little bit in this live picture of this truck that's in this neighborhood? And it looks like police have completely pulled out of the neighborhood here. Earlier, live picture there on your left here. Earlier, there were SWAT vehicles out there, unmarked cars, and the footage here you're seeing on the right is right after the driver in that pickup was arrested here, right after he carjacked that truck at 107th Avenue and I-10. Law enforcement hustled over to the scene and found 2 other people, this man and the woman that you saw there in the rose-colored sweatshirt in handcuffs. They detained these 2 who were still in the vehicle after the driver bailed from that stolen vehicle and carjacked a woman. That happened right after law enforcement threw down some stop sticks, and not too long after, another passenger jumped out of that car and took off on foot, possibly with a long-armed rifle, into a neighborhood, that neighborhood at Dysart and Buckeye. Can we take a look at that person who is bailing, the passenger who is bailing from the suspect vehicle? This will give you a little bit more of a breakdown here. Now, if we can pull up that footage of the person who jumped out of the vehicle at Dysart and Buckeye around 3 o'clock this afternoon, we can tell you a little bit more about this. Law enforcement apparently had been looking for that vehicle for several weeks, and were told that it was stolen in an armed robbery, and it was tied to then a commercial burglary. At least 4 people were in that car. You see the circled, highlighted area on the right-hand side of your screen here. Bear with us because we're taking this all kind of live and flying by the seat of our pants here, because this is all happening just moments ago. We're getting information from law enforcement about what happened here. So the person who bailed from that vehicle, which you see there in the bubble on the right-hand side box, took off running into that neighborhood. Law enforcement at this point has still not tracked down that 4th suspect who bailed from that stolen vehicle, and they were all connected to an armed robbery. So all 4 suspects in that vehicle connected to an armed robbery that happened several weeks earlier. So since then, they said that some sort of commercial burglary happened, and they were trying to track down these suspects. Now, that person bailed from the car around 3 o'clock. So law enforcement has kind of flooded the neighborhood of Dysart and Buckeye, and we also have crews headed out to that area, and they are still trying to track down that person. Again, there's a possibility there could be a long-armed rifle out there at the scene there with that other suspect that got away from him. But we right now have Lauren Reimer, who is one of our reporters out in the scene here. Lauren, go ahead and tell us where you're at and what you're seeing.
Road where this chase ended. I want to show you behind me. That stolen truck is parked in the middle of the street. This is where that suspect bailed out and ran into a nearby apartment complex. Now, like you said, it kind of seems like he knew where he was going, but police swooped in really fast. They were able to detain him. Right now, that suspect is still on scene here. He's in one of these police Tahoes. It's parked around the corner. You can't quite see it, but he is detained. This whole street is now shut down to traffic.
We've got
My
probably
guess
another
it's going to be for quite a little bit this afternoon. And I just talked to a police officer who was here on scene, and he briefly told me that that first scene where The suspect seemed to drop off some kind of a passenger, and that person took off running. They tell me that that scene is very active and they haven't caught that person yet. So a lot is still going to develop about this case tonight. Nicole, back to you.
Reimer reporting live. Thank you so much. And we're going to go ahead and bring in some footage from earlier when this stolen truck was on the freeway, just again to give you a little bit more detail of what happened here. Just to try to wrap this up for you, around 1:45, law enforcement tried to stop a driver with 4 other people in a car that had apparently carjacked someone. They did not actually continue following that car. This is one that was carjacked. I'm sorry, we've got the wrong footage here. But if we could find the video of the blue car here. Law enforcement pulled back and immediately sent up the helicopter to try and follow along what was going on here. And that's when they kept a great distance. Okay, there, the footage on your left here is the initial suspect vehicle, which we now know had 4 people inside, all tied to an armed robbery and a commercial burglary. So